Well, the cast of the Fantastic Four kept growing and growing, and one name that popped up was John Malkovich. We heard he was coming to the Fantastic Four, but we had no idea where he was going to show up and who he was going to play. And it turns out he's playing a rather obscure villain. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about what villain John Malkovich is going to bring to life in the Fantastic Four, where this is coming from, and why this is a really, really weird choice. Now, not long after the main cast of the Fantastic Four were first announced, several supporting characters were added to the Marvel Studios reboot. Now, from day one, we were just told who these actors were, but it was not disclosed who they'll be playing. We found out Paul Walter Hauser was joining the cast, and right away everybody thought for sure he would be Mole Man. Then there was the speculation that Natasha Lyonne would be playing Ben Grimm's love interest, Alicia Masters, which seems to have been confirmed by now, and then there was the rumors of her playing the voice of Herbie the Robot. Now, one of the other castings that came up was John Malkovich, and honestly, anytime you're adding this kind of talent to a project, it's a pretty big deal. But early on, I really felt like he might be playing Franklin Richards, but now Murphy's Multiverse has confirmed he's playing one of the villains, and it's actually one that's never come to life before, and one of the team's original foes. That would be Ivan Kragoff, the Red Ghost. Now, this isn't from Marvel Studios or Kevin Feige, so we want to take it with a grain of salt. Murphy's Multiverse has a pretty good track record on this, and we're headed into post-production for the Fantastic Four, and that's when these little details start to leak out. Now, how close to the comic book version of this character he's going to play, well, that's the real key. In the comics, Kragoff was a Soviet scientist who basically attempted to replicate the conditions that gave the Fantastic Four their powers. He built a ceramic ship and flew to the moon, interestingly enough, with 3 trained apes: Igor the baboon, Mikola the gorilla, and Pyotr the orangutan. Now, just like the Fantastic Four, the cosmic rays gave Kragoff and his simian allies some pretty incredible powers. Pyotr developed control over magnetism, Mikola gained enhanced strength, and Igor became a shapeshifter. Now, Ivan himself was granted the ability to become intangible, and that's where he took up the moniker of the Red Ghost. Now, I have to say, this is a curious choice for a villain, but I'm not too sure how big of a role he's going to play. It seems like at this point we're lining up a lot of Fantastic Four mythology. Like I mentioned, Peter Walter Hauser might be playing the Mole Man. And we also know Galactus and a version of the Silver Surfer will be part of this film. So to throw in the Red Ghost also, well, it starts to seem a little crowded. But there are many ways this could work and would make a lot of sense. Now, we already know the Fantastic Four is being set on an alternate Earth. And it sounds like one of the things they're trying to do is to tell a cosmic tale, something we've heard over and over again, but I think this film, as it breaks down the 3-act structure, might see some time jumps, and with those time jumps, give us peeks at various villains for the Fantastic Four. I could totally see this film opening up with an established Fantastic Four facing off against a classic foe like the Mole Man or the Red Ghost. Layer in a time jump in the middle of the film, well, you have another introductory scene where you kind of get caught up with the team, and that again would be another opportunity for somebody like Red Ghost and his simians or the Mole Man to kind of face off with the team. In any case, there's clearly a lot going on with the Fantastic Four, and I'm going to trust Matt Shakman with this project, but I'm not going to lie guys, it does seem a little crowded. Julia Garner is playing Shala Bell, we know Galactus is going to be a big part of this, obviously Dr. Doom may appear in some way, shape, or form with Robert Downey Jr. joining, and layer on a couple of more villains, well, it starts to feel a little crowded, and I have found, particularly in Marvel films, if you try to introduce too many characters in a single project, well, the stakes aren't high enough, and people really start to not care. Now, I will say, John Malkovich being part of this project adds some serious pedigree. He is one of Hollywood's greats, and if he's playing a villain, well, I am really curious to see what he could bring to life. The guy is always great. He's played many villains in the past, all of which have been stellar, and the Red Ghost is a really, really interesting choice, and wasn't even on my long list of villains potentially for this film. Now, it's not confirmed yet, so we're going to keep a close eye on this. Fantastic Four is already in production, so I think as post-production starts to kick in, more and more of these details are going to find their way out, and hopefully we get some confirmation on the Red Ghost. Now, before you take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell for all the updates, and make sure you get every notification because we do daily Marvel and DC content and we don't want you to miss any news.